if we could get a report.
In closed session, we approved a certified leave of absence. We approved 2 classified leaves of absence, and we denied a Willie Brown request. Then we had discussion on the last item.
Bob's not here yet?
I think he stopped. He'll be here.
Would you like to lead us in the pledge?
Sure. Ready, salute.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Robert? I believe we have a Sanhedrin presentation next. Dr. Richley?
We do. We'll try to make it quick, but I have a surprise that we just added in just a few minutes ago. We have a Sanhedrin High School graduate, and I would like to do that first. So I would like to invite Giovanni Alvarez up here.
Yeah, Gio!
Giovanni is a very hard worker, and he's been working hard all year to get all his requirements done. And I present to you Giovanni Alvarez for a high school diploma. Congratulations!
Could Giovanni tell us what his plans are now?
Sure.
Don't got any right now.
I think this is a shock to him too. This just happened. This conversation just happened yesterday. So.
Congratulations, Giovanni.
And the second part I would like to share with you is, before the students start sharing what's going on at Sanhedrin High School, is we received a very important letter. And to start off, I would like to first thank the staff and the superintendent and Dr. Craig for all helping to put this WASP report together. And I'm very happy to report that it is the decision of the Commission to grant a 6-year accreditation status with a mid-cycle 1-day visit through June 30th, 2025 to Sanhedrin High School. I think that's great news. So the students of Sanhedrin High School are going to give a little presentation. I hope you enjoyed the cookies I made for you today. I don't know whether you want to eat them.
They're at the back table.
Hi, welcome here to Sanhedrin. We are going to share a few highlights with you of what's going on. I'm Yulia Richley. This is my 6th year working at Sanhedrin High School. I teach multiple subjects here and also a dual enrollment class for Mendocino College, which includes career planning and college success skills. So, our big focus in the last 2 years is on career and technical education and figuring out what plans or what goals students are going to pursue after school. We've been focusing on high in-demand industries that are projected for our region, which is in manufacturing, welding, woodshop, agriculture, fashion design, and a lot of healthcare industries, such as nursing, looking at bio classes, scrubs, and EMT classes. So we have something very exciting is we have, I would say, close to 25 students in concurrent enrollment classes from spring and fall semesters, and they're taking my class, which is CCS 100. All of these classes, except English 85, are transferable to CSU, which means they can apply it to their certificates or associate degrees. So they're taking CCS 100, English 85, multiple psychology classes, construction documents, agriculture classes, EMT, and clothing design classes. So it's very exciting. We've been focusing a lot this year, which is part of our WOS goals, on wellness and healthy living. We are covering that in language arts. Our students are researching and designing presentations. We're going to have a little snapshot for you in a bit. We have partnership with Howard Hospital. We had nutritionists come and visit, and we have a series of other visits getting ready and planned. We have a garden in the back of the school that we are planning to work on starting in the next couple of weeks. And we have a new weight room that I think you can see maybe after meeting, if you're interested. So I'm going to share real brief what we do for fun, and then we'll do a little bit of presentation. So something we've been working on is doing outreach to community. And thank you, Mrs. Bergman, for helping us coordinate visits to Brookside. And I'll have a student share about it. And Cassie, will you share, please? On Jesus. So they've been going with us 3 times now. And we are planning to continue once a month.
So my name's Cassie Villalobos. This is my first year at Hadrian, and we started going to Brookside to teach students. And we interviewed some that have gone with us for the 3 times. And
Okay. Maybe you share why you like to go.
well, I like to go because I like being around kids. I like talking to them. And I like reading to them because they seem really interested and they seem excited for us to be going. So, yeah. Oh, and I'm thinking about studying to become a teacher for kindergarten.
I like heading over there to the Brookside because I like little kids. Who doesn't like little kids, right? So they're all adorable. They're all cute.
They like you too.
Yeah. So I go to Miss Berkman's class right this time. I go to Miss Berkman's class. We go about once a month. We read a variety of books. We went for Halloween. We read Halloween books. We went for Christmas. Read Christmas books. We went this time. It's Valentine's time, so we read mainly books about dogs and Valentine's books.
And your name, right?
Oh,
Career plans.
I'm Jesus. I'm Jesus Martin Cabrera Lopez. I'm a senior, and I plan on going into fashion design and going into the military.
You're taking a class already?
Yeah, I'm already taking a class at Mendo, and I plan on going there for a year and then going the other 3 at St. Rosa JC.
I want to add one in on one of the nice changes we've made at Sanhedrin is not only do they go to the high school for CTEs, but they're part of our athletic program. Jesus is one of my basketball players.
Yes.
Thank you, guys. And it's been very exciting to have this partnership. I think it's a very positive program that we added this year. To school, thank you, Cassie. And so they keep me on track. They make sure we go once a month. All right, so some other things that we do, we work on public speaking skills and writing skills. We had our first open mic, and Orally is not here, but if you, those of you who know Orally Klivar, she helped us plan it. That was super fun, and it gave our students a chance to express themselves. We had our 5th annual poetry workshop that's funded by Willits Educational Foundation, and we had, this was 4th year that Sanhedrin students got published in a Mendocino County book. Last year on the cover page, and this year our students' poem opened a high school selection in the book.
Nice.
So it's super exciting. This is our speaker or guest teacher that comes and does workshop every single year. So it's a
JD or Dan?
and that's one of our students reading his poem. It's a very exciting partnership, and I think it gives students ideas about their strengths and skills as well. And Stephen, where is he? Okay, so we're going to do just a teeny bit of a snapshot of our wellness presentation. If it works.
when.
So, but I'm very excited that we are developing public speaking skills this year, which is a really great also career skill that's important nowadays.
Hi, my name is Stephen Beers. I am a sophomore. This year we've been working on wellnesses, and I chose spiritual wellness. I chose spiritual wellness because most of my peers in my classes, usually when I ask them what is spiritual wellness, they won't really answer me. They'll be like kind of confused and curious, and most of them usually look for either physical wellness or emotional wellness. They don't look at all of the wellnesses. What does spiritual wellness mean? Spiritual wellness means setting goals and staying true to yourself, being willing to fail and actually get back up. Benefits of spiritual wellness. When I look at myself, I usually look at positive outlook, because if you send positive energy, you will get positive energy in return. And with meaning and purpose, if you sit there and you think to yourself, what would I do? Like, what am I going to do with my life? You would want to sit there and think about why you are here, and basically what's your purpose.
We have a helper. Can I introduce you?
I'm Gage Parker.
He's in 10th grade and he's going to help out Steven. He's just coming out of practice.
Yeah.
Okay. You guys
Sorry, I'm late.
gonna add to that, to the benefits of spiritual wellness? Putting you on the spot.
I can do the
You
next
can
slide.
add.
Do the next one.
No, next one.
Signs of weak spiritual wellness, such as emptiness, anxiety, and loss of meaning, self-judgment, I don't know how to say that.
Condemnation.
Yeah. So basically what it's saying,
So if you don't have spiritual wellness,
Sorry.
would you throw you in?
You're doing great.
it's
Okay.
where people hear
So, alright, we'll go here.
All these questions will lead you down a path where you will think more in depth about yourself and allow you to see what will help you achieve fulfillment. Like, who am I? What is my purpose? And what do I value most?
Think positively. Once you start viewing things in your life in in a more positive manner, you will find yourself thinking differently and refocusing your mind to a happy and healthy place. So basically, just always having a positive outlook on things helps you pursue what you want to do better without, doubting yourself. You're more confident in what you do.
And we talked a lot about how important it is for this age group at high school to try to look positive with all the decisions and changes coming up after graduation.
Oh, I'm gonna skip this one. Meditating. When you meditate, it helps you relieve anxiety and stress in ways that is unexplainable, because you are sitting there thinking about your own breath, your own breathing, and your heartbeat, and it's like you're one with the earth.
It helps you to push out the negativity that you're receiving throughout the day or throughout the week or whatever it may be. It helps you focus on what's going on with you and not what's with everybody else.
And we were talking about maybe starting some mindfulness techniques in our garden when the spring comes, to be able to prepare for graduation and all the changes coming up.
You can skip this one too. taking time to travel will help you traveling will help you see different cultures and different religions, which will help you see more about the world rather than oh, I am a Catholic and I believe in this and everyone should believe in this with me. You should open your mindset to where everyone and basically be positive, not negative, and let everyone be themselves pretty much.
Traveling puts you out of your comfort zone, so you have more time to focus on yourself instead of the problems that are right in front of you. So it helps you kind of escape the problems you're experiencing at the moment and just have an out of the box view of it, and you're not caught up in the moment. You can escape from it.
Labyrinths help you in a spiritual way because it's like a path to find your inner core, and then once you find your inner core, you have to find your way back out too. So it's a two-way type thing.
And then something I wanted to add, I'm very proud of my students researching this, serious topics. It's way higher maybe level than you would think of wellness. So I learned a lot myself. I've never known about labyrinths for spiritual wellness. But I'll have Gage also briefly share his career plans, because his goal is physical wellness. If you don't mind.
So my plan is to at least spend 2 years at Mendel College and get my associate's degree for personal training, and then try to pursue to a 4-year and become a physical therapist. I just want to work with athletes and around that general idea of it.
Sweet. I think we're done, right?
Do you want to do mine?
Do we have time, or do you guys need to? He has a presentation on physical wellness. Sure.
Yeah, you got, okay.
You have to log in. So.
Gage is a wrestler too. He has what, sectionals coming up?
Yeah, sections.
We'll keep it brief.
And while
Thank you for
while
being
he's
here.
getting that loaded, I want to make sure I say publicly to the Sanhedrin, not just staff, but students as well, that there's no building that I've put more change into than Sanhedrin in the last 3 years. We're doing business completely different from what we used to do, and the WASP report was a big deal because we were putting it all together as that was coming into place, and they really liked what's going on. Students here have to get their core classes done, but they also have to have a CTE endorsement. It's not okay to just graduate with D minuses in a piece of paper. You have to be able to do something. And so although they have less core credits than the high school, they have a CTE requirement on top of that. And so it really does work well. All of the students participate in CTE programs either at the high school or at the college, and it really rounds out what they should get out of high school. And so it's really been a nice transition. It's a great climate and culture here, and it's kind of a revolving door. Students are headed to the high school and back, and to the college and back, but it works very nicely. It creates a lot of adjustments for the staff when kids have to leave to go to a high school class and come back, because their high school class has to come first, because that always happens the same time every day. And so, yeah, it's been a lot of adjustment, and they've done a nice job with making that happen.
I just attended last week a regional conference on economic development for North Bay region, and interestingly I found out that certificate programs and degrees are in more demand regionally than 4-year degrees as far as pay and market demand. So it was exciting news for me because I come from a traditional 4-year with master's degree. So sometimes we maybe don't think of it as equally compatible, but it actually, we looked at 12-year projection, and there's going to be more need for certificate degrees and CTE type of careers than traditional 4-year degrees. So I thought that was a kind of interesting.
Amy's going on.
No, sir. Sure. Probably like do some of them. I can do it for you.
And if you get a chance, look at their weight room. They've put a lot of time and effort into that. Jeff's kind of cleaned house and moved things out and took dumpster loads of stuff that had been here forever out. And so now we have a weight room back there and the back facilities being used for other things.
Oh,
So
really?
it's come a long way.
Okay.
So my topic was physical wellness. What is physical wellness? Physical wellness promotes proper care of our bodies for optimal health and function. Overall, physical wellness encourages the balance of physical activity, nutrition, and mental well-being. Physical wellness routines, activities such as sports, pull teens away from unhealthy habits such as looking at your phone and going out and do something that's not productive. Teens spend 7 hours or more in front of a screen, which leads to the reason why teens are not as active as they should be. Yeah, we have assignments on our Chromebooks. You know, we're always looking at our screens, we're always looking at our phones. Something is always pulling us away from what we're supposed to be doing in the moment, really. Only 29% of teens are required to participate in physical activities throughout high school in the U.S. So only certain schools require for students to take PE. So like not every student is doing like the 30 minutes of activity that they should be. Healthy and unhealthy habits. Healthy habits: a regular sleeping schedule, balanced home-cooked meals, so like no eating out. Home-cooked meals. At least 60 minutes of exercise a day, 9 hours of sleep, and proper hydration. Unhealthy habits is smoking, overeating, overtraining, and sleep deprived. Too much hydration. You know, you're obviously overhydrated. It's not good for you, even though it's just water. Sleep has a lot to do with how athletes perform. So if they aren't sleeping properly, then they're not going to get the best results of their actions, whether it's football, wrestling, baseball, or whatever.
And we've had, Gage actually led excellent discussions in the classroom. We all discussed how much we all sleep and eat and exercise. So it opened up a lot of good conversations.
How to start. So this is like the steps you should take to start, creating healthy habits for yourself. 9 hours of sleep, a healthy breakfast such as eggs and oatmeal, something that's high in protein, high in carbs, so it fuels you throughout the day. At least 60 minutes of physical activities. Maybe that could be anything. It's playing at the park with your kids, running, working out in the morning, however you do it. Healthy snacks throughout the day, such as fruit, salad, and pasta. You know, you don't want to sit down and eat chips all day. You want to have something that will fill you up a little bit more. You know, like make you have more energy throughout the day. Hydrate throughout the day properly. So, like I said, don't overhydrate. Drink roughly about a decent amount of water every day. Eat decent-sized meals for dinner and replenish what you lost throughout the day. So you don't want to have like a huge meal. You know, you want to have something that's decent, properly proportioned. You know, your vegetables. Facts and statistics. In the U.S., men overweight, it's kind of small, but it says 32.2% of men in the U.S. are overweight. The average is 67.8%. And the other one is for women. Women overweight is 35.4%, and the average is 64.6%. Facts and statistics. The percentage of children and adolescents affected by obesity has more than tripled since 1970.
Let's keep the video.
What if is it?
That's where we're going.
Breaking down your ultimate health and fitness goal into small, realistic, achievable goals. So I mean, like 3 months in the gym, you know, you're not going to look like Arnold. You know, like, it's the longevity of things. You have to work for what you want. You know, it's not going to come overnight. Mental benefits: by staying physically active, increases the chances of reducing stress and depression, a boost in self-esteem and self-confidence. So you know, you carry yourself with good confidence. You know, you don't want to be like overconfident, but you know, better sleep. You know, that always makes you feel better. You're not as grouchy throughout the day. You feel better. You know, you want to do more things when you have enough sleep. How sleep affects your physical wellness. Only 15% of teens get enough sleep. Lack of sleep puts you at the risk of lack of concentration and focus, so they just said. More likely to become impatient and irritable. You know, you don't want to sit down in class. You don't want to focus on what the teacher's saying. Higher stress levels. How nutrition affects your physical wellness. Your diet can help you reach and maintain a healthy weight, reduce your risk of chronic diseases such as heart disease and cancer, and promote overall health. Effects of not having physical wellness. Having no exercise or daily activities with an unhealthy eating habit puts you at the risk of cancer, heart disease, high blood pressure, increased chance of depression. The websites that I found myself on. Thank you.
Try to keep it to 5 minutes, but.
Thank you. I think we are done.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, all students who came to present.
I'm really excited to see the kids doing things like this because this is the kind of skills that's going to stay with them their whole life and be very meaningful to them to carry on as far as lifestyle choices go. So.
Yeah, and because we're still learning, the traditional research and writing, but I think we are trying to choose the topics that are real life, useful. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
We're down to 8B, Safe Routes to School, Walking Bike Mendocino.
Great. Thanks for having me today. My name is Eric Reinelt. I work for Walking Bike Mendocino.
Hi, I'm Sonia. I work for Walking Bike Mendocino as well. I'm glad we had that whole primer on the importance of physical wellness because that's part of what we're going to talk to you today. Has anybody heard of Walking Bike Mendocino?
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Awesome.
Good.
We're a nonprofit. We're a program of NCO organization. We are grant funded. We do Safe Routes to School Works, which involves bike and pedestrian education in 5th grade, pedestrian education in 2nd grade. And we do presentations to promote kids to walk and bike to school and to make sure that they're safe, they're following all the rules, and they're happy and healthy when they get to school too and ready to learn. We are grant funded right now. We have a grant through the Office of Traffic Safety, and that is going on until September.
Yeah, so we saw in these presentations, I really appreciate Gage, that physical wellness is such an important part of a well-lived life, and then has impacts beyond health. Specifically, kids that get to school with a little bit of exercise. There are plenty of studies that show that there's less tardiness, they're arriving alert, and they're ready to learn. And the grades are higher when kids are coming with a little bit of exercise.
And increased attendance too.
And increased attendance as well. This is something that we're really passionate about at Walking Bike Mendocino. As Sonia mentioned, we're on this Office of Traffic Safety grant, which is really generous and is allowing us this school year to reach. We're targeting 1,000 kids in the Mendocino County area with bike safety education, and pedestrian safety education. So getting in for a pedestrian, doing a lot of interactions and videos, getting out and doing a field trip, like practicing the skills crossing the street. And with a bike education, we actually have a fleet of bikes that we bring to the school to practice on the blacktop, and we have lots of helmets to give away as well. We just want to give you a little bit of background about what we do, and then ask for some support in a couple of specific ways going forward. So one is, there are 5 of us that work at Walking Bike Mendocino, and we're really passionate, and we're a small but mighty group, but ultimately that change in behavior starts with the parents at schools, and then staff members and teachers that are passionate about active transportation. So something that would be really helpful for us as we try to provide as much support as possible from the outside is having a champion for active transportation on the inside of schools, be that a staff member, a teacher, even a really active parent would be very helpful. So if if that's something that you can encourage to each of your schools, or if you yourself are passionate, or if you know someone that's really passionate about that, we would love to make that connection. And then the second thing is, we've talked a few times about this really generous grant that ends in September, And this is the challenging part of nonprofit work, is that the funding sort of comes in fits and starts. So we are looking for ways to extend our capability to do this work. And there are ways that you can help us do that as well. So there are a number of grants. The active transportation grant cycle is happening right now. And there are grants that schools can apply for if the district is interested in exploring that, then we would be really, really happy to set up a meeting with someone to talk about what opportunities are there and for us to be able to provide support in applying for those grants. And you know, if that doesn't work out, you know, we are always open to receiving direct compensation. But really, we just want to be able to keep our kids healthy and happy and safe. And so you know, we just want to say we're here and we're happy to be here, happy to do this work, and appreciate any community support that we can get.
How long have you guys been doing this?
Walk and Bike Mendocino's been around since 2012, I think,
Yes,
in some form.
Yes.
We had a Safe Routes to School specific grant for the last 3 years before we switched off to the Office of Traffic Safety, and we've been doing the Safe Routes to School education for basically, yeah, since the beginning of the
And so your current grant's going to expire in September,
September.
and there's nothing in play right now to continue?
We're searching right now. We're always searching for grants. That's half of the work.
Yeah, there's funding for, you know, we applied for a grant to do like a bike share feasibility study for Mendocino and urban greening grant. So beyond the work that we do in school districts, there are other things that we do to make Mendocino County more walkable and bikeable. But in terms of specific funding for Safe Routes to School work, we don't have anything lined up specifically for beyond September.
Okay. And your grant comes from, the current one is funded through who?
Office of Traffic Safety?
Okay. And they don't have anything on the books for the next year?
No, not at this time.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, we would just like these programs to continue and be sustainable and have it kind of run itself within the schools.
Yeah.
I mean, it's only 5 of us and we can't be at all the schools, unfortunately.
So we're doing our best through the course of this year, you know, as we present pedestrian education to give the materials to the teachers as well, so that it's something that can live on regardless of the level of support that we can provide forward.
Cool.
So do you work inland Mendocino County, the whole county?
We've been working the whole county.
Fort Bragg, Ukiah. In the past, we've done Anderson Valley and Potter Valley, Calpella.
Mm-hmm. With this grant, focusing more on the 3 main population centers: Fort Bragg, Willits, and Ukiah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Well, thanks for your time.
And I can leave a few brochures, maybe on this packet for anyone who's interested.
This goes along with our discussion about how nice it would be to have a roundabout at Blosser and 22.
Okay, next item on the agenda, our P1 report. P1. Oh, P1.
Yeah, our P1 report, basically it's our mandatory report we do at the end of the first cycle. You know, I'd like to say enrollment's up and attendance is up, but unfortunately attendance is down and enrollment's down slightly. We're down about 25 to 27. It is a fluctuating thing. It does go up and down. But I talked with other county superintendents. I'm not sure there's a district in our county that's not down in attendance right now, or attendance or enrollment. It is I think it's an economic thing, and I believe that there's some movement. There's more movement out than in right now, and so you know, we're not in a crisis of moving. We're talking 25 to 26. And there's always fluctuation at kindergarten. This year's kindergarten was fairly low, next year may be really high. Kindergarten's always kind of a swing item for us. We're hearing that kindergarten's gonna be high next year, but you don't know that until you get the enrollment.
Thank you. Item D, our next school board meeting, March 13th, will be at Bechtel Grove School in the cafeteria. And that's just a news item, basically. Special business, we have to do the oath of office for Mr. Colvig and Mr. Chavez.
Alex, did you see that I brought you a
Yes,
green sheet?
thank you.
Okay.
Stand up and
Stand up, please. I think we can do it right here. Yeah.
Stand up, hand me your wallet.
Say your name. This one good? I
Robert.
do solemnly affirm
Do solemnly affirm
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California
and the Constitution of the State of California
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
against all enemies, foreign and domestic,
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the Constitution of the United States
to the Constitution of the United States
and the Constitution of the State of California,
and the Constitution of the State of California,
that I take this obligation freely
that I take this obligation freely
without any mental reservation
without any mental reservation
or purpose of evasion,
or purpose of evasion,
and I will well and faithfully discharge
and I will well and faithfully discharge
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
the duties upon which I am about to enter.
Congratulations, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Welcome aboard. And if I may, WTA comments?
That would be for me. Okay, so since I saw you last month, we had a stay-well meeting, and it looks like there's a possibility of it going up again. Our insurance rate's going up about 6%. And so I sent out a report, and the feedback I'm getting is definitely some frustration and worry. And I'm getting a little bit of feedback about looking for another school district where it's not going to be as expensive. But we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. Regarding unlocking the code, I am still hearing from teachers at both Brookside and Blosser. It's not that, I mean, the teachers are professionals. They're capable of implementing it. There's other concerns that they have about it. Such as they're spending a lot of time working on unlocking the code and not getting to other academic content. They're worried about not meeting the standards for other topics. Some of them have reported that they're not spending time on or seeing good results with comprehension because the focus is on phonics. And I know you have responses to all this, I'm just putting it out there. And so I've asked that they put together a survey so they can kind of gauge what the level of concern is and what they are specifically. And after I get that, I'm definitely going to talk with Mr. Westerberg and see if we can come up with solutions to address it. But I just wanted to let you know that I'm hearing that. Over at the middle school, I've had several of the new teachers say that they plan on leaving. It's for a variety of reasons, but they have some common threads in them. Just last night, Mr. Westerberg talked about maybe creating some kind of liaison to promote generate a positive connection between Blosser and Bechtel so that we can get some parents that are having concerns about sending their kids. We've got this bleed off of kids going to Eagle Peak or Pomalita. And if we can just kind of come up with a program or some kind of, he called it marketing, which I don't know if we want to market schools, but we do want to encourage parents to have a positive perspective of our middle school and how we can increase that, which I thought was a really good idea. We are going into negotiations. I'm assuming we'll talk about that with Robert. The biggest concerns I'm hearing are the healthcare and non-competitive salaries. So that'll probably come up a lot. And last night at the LCAP meeting, we had 9 parents, teachers, classified staff, and I thought we had some really robust dialogue about what's happening on the campuses and how we can make improvements. So I'm really happy that Mark has opened that up for us to have that forum. Okay.
Thank you. Any questions? CSEA, Dan?
I'll stay back here. I'd like to echo Tessa on the LCAP meetings. They seem to be really productive and a lot of good information going around, and more involvement would be nice too. And also the stay well. Nobody really likes what's going on, but I think people really need to get a little more educated on the use of the benefits and how to use them. We're trying to get information out, but we just need more people to assimilate that information and start using it in a better way. Would help out a lot. Thank you.
Superintendent comments?
I really don't have many, other than the fact that people are working hard and doing what they need to do. Every time I visit the building, we're on task and doing the right things. And just like any organization, we're constantly tweaking and looking to do things better. And movement forward always takes a couple steps back and then 3 forward. And so we're on our way and doing well. So I'm not, there's really nothing specifically.
Thanks, sir. Mr. Coley?
None at this time.
Chavez?
I'll just have to say, I had an opportunity to interview some of our seniors who are graduating this year, and it's always so delightful, and you see that life in their eyes and that excitement of what they're going, and you know, at that time I feel good about our future when I look into their eyes, so it's always a great experience. Thank you.
I've been keeping a low profile, so I'll pass. Go to Jeannie.
So I also participated in high school interviews. I've been doing this for many years, and I'm really impressed with the kids that graduate from Willits High School. Whatever their plans are, whether it's going on to a 4-year college or a 2-year college, staying local or going away, or whether they're going into some sort of vocational program, or plan on going right into the workforce. They have real goals, and they have some skills that they're taking with them, and there's a lot of confidence, and I'm really impressed with it. And I also paid a visit to Brookside. I spent a day, or most of a day, at Brookside, and Kathy took me around to different classrooms. I got to see unlocking the code being taught in various classrooms, and I got a better feel for the campus currently and for the staff that's there. And I also spent lunchtime with the teachers and staff in the libraries, or the teachers' room. So anyway, it was a really nice, pleasant time. So.
I also wanted to report that I went to Blosser and spent part of the day of the morning. And I really need to echo what Tessa had to say about teachers feeling like, you know, they're not, I'm very interested in morale within and throughout our schools, okay? And so teachers were feeling a lot of concerns about the unlocking the code. They've been to in-services. I hadn't thought that they had been to enough, and then I spoke with Mark, and yeah, the in-services are coming. It's the concern of the people I spoke with was comprehension, and how learning to read isn't just phonics. You know, as a matter of fact, that's a portion, but it's not near as important as the portion of comprehension. If you don't know what you're reading, it's just sort of silly to be doing it. And so that really needed to be a little more stressed. People felt, I was concerned with, you know, burnout issues and why people don't choose to stay in such a beautiful place as Willits. I mean, you might make less money, but you don't pay as much for your house, you know, and so there are give and takes. And what I'm finding is that there seems to be a lot of curriculum fatigue. Curriculum fatigue meaning every year they get a new one. And sadly, some people believe that, well, you can only learn one curriculum at a time. Depending upon how you think, that can be really offensive, since every new teacher to any district learns 6 or 7 at once if they're elementary, you know, and it's sort of like being told that, well, we're going to give you this information piece by piece. You really worry generally as a teacher that, you know, I have this whole kid sitting here. Am I only going to tell them this much? Then what's going to happen? They have to wait till next year. There just seems to be some confusion that I'm certain will be straightened out. It's just that that was a big concern for me, because if you don't feel 100% vested in what you're doing, it never seems to come out quite as well as it could. Okay. I also was reading something you'll find in a little bit about the, you know, the safety codes, well, they're not safety codes, they're the safety plans, there you are, for the various schools. And I do understand, I've spoken to a number of people that send their kids to Bechtel Grove, and then they quit sending their kids to Bechtel Grove. And it seems like some of the issues there are very nicely addressed in the safety plan. However, I too found it to be quite a concern that in a survey where the response was good, I mean, there were like 127 surveys and 85 of them came back. That's better than 12, you know, and Willits has a tendency to return 12. But they were still finding that only 1 out of 3 students were feeling safe and sound at their school site. And that means 2 out of 3 didn't. You know, that's, even if you're only dealing with 2/3 of the population, when 2/3 of the 2/3 don't feel good, we're going to have to start looking into solutions. And I'm hoping that the time will come that we can enlist some of the skills and enthusiasm of the parents of the kids that are experiencing some of the issues to kind of talk, and we'll get together and decide. There's always more than one way to do whatever. I really do think that will be healthy. Otherwise, truthfully, people need to kind of look at Bechtel and take a step back. It's a good school, like all of our schools are good. And I don't mean that the charters are not good. All of them, from what I've seen, are great. I'm biased, but at the same time, you know, you do need to do what we just listened about and look for the positive. But when you see an issue that sort of slaps you in the face, well, then sort of you need to get a little involved. It's easy to complain. I know that skill, but you have to know how to look for a solution, okay? And I think together we'll do it a little better than somebody telling you this is the new plan, let's go for it. And at this point, that's all I have to say. All right. Your turn, I'm sorry. Oh, I'm sorry. It's for him to do.
Okay. Hi, I'm Claire Rocket, the student representative at Willits High School. And we just finished our winter sports. Our wrestling team was undefeated, and they're going to regionals. And our JV boys and girls basketball teams did very well, and they placed high in the league. And our varsity teams finished out strong. So now we're having our spring sports starting. And Akadeca just went to regionals and placed first. And so we have some kids going on to state. And in FFA, sophomores and juniors went to a conference in Monterey. There were about 15 kids. And we got to learn some new leadership skills. And we also have our sectional speaking competition coming up February 26th. They're still looking for a few judges, so if you're interested, you can talk to me after the meeting or email Kelly. He's at willitsunified.com. And our Latino club had a student place second in Migrant Ed's speech competition, so that's cool. We are having a band performance at the end of the month, and our finals for the second trimester are coming up soon. And our school also has the pleasure of having 2 foreign exchange students. And I'm lucky to have one in my house. This is Carla. And that's all I have.
What country is she from?
From Germany.
Germany?
Germany.
Welcome.
Nice to have you.
Welcome to Carla. Welcome.
Thank you. Let's see. Any public comments on the consent agenda?
Not public, but I have some questions on a couple of them.
Okay, before we get to that, is there a motion to approve the consent agenda?
I'll motion to approve the consent agenda.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
And discussion? All?
Oh, my questions? I was I understood about number 9, the placement in mathematics courses, you know, and how those will kind of be decided on grades and scores, and the kids will be, you know, kind of put into a class where they belong, and that scheduling, I get that. I had a question about 10 though, because, well, to go back to 9, if a student chooses not to take a class or wants to change the schedule of the class they are in, is this going to mean with this revised board policy that for mathematics they're sort of out of luck?
What I did read out of that was that basically the superintendent or his designee, their decision was final.
Oh, okay, that's kind of what I thought, and that's
Yes.
why I was curious. Oh, okay. For 10, it talks about the transitional kindergarten and how children who are 4 and pre-kinders can need to kind of be mixed in with 5-year-olds, you know, and I'm really sorry that I didn't get time to ask these at another time, but I figured
They
you
said
all
that
want to know.
those would be dealt with on a case-by-case basis.
Okay.
Based
They're
on-
gonna invent like a criteria, because I didn't see anything.
Kindergarten screenings, yeah.
Oh, okay, that'll be the criteria?
That's one of
The
the
ones-
things they use.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Maturity of the child, size of the class. Transitional kindergarten is always kind of a wild card because you
Yeah.
have X number, you have to have probably a section like we have this year that is a mix of K and TK.
Oh, okay.
We have a TK, but we had enough of them that we have a mixed TK as well.
Oh, okay.
It just depends on the number.
Okay.
It wouldn't be fair to the rest of the elementary teachers if we had 2 TK sections at 12.
Well,
And so we try to mix that together.
okay. I only remembered from the past that sometimes when you mix that particular age group, it's especially difficult, and I didn't see anything about
Actually,
additional help.
Barbary does the class Gonzalez, and she does a great job with it. She's very familiar with how to mesh the two together, and the TK is a half-day program. It's almost beneficial for the Ks who
Oh,
are
okay, I
in
didn't
there.
realize that he didn't.
It's almost beneficial for the Ks because they get her the whole afternoon.
Oh, okay.
So,
Oh, okay, well, that
so
was-
that's kind of her trade-off for doing the split class.
Oh, okay. And then I just wanted like an example of a evaluation of the instructional program. That is there gonna be like a checkoff sheet, or, you know, particular grades will be used? This had to do with APIs, I thought, and how we were gonna instead, unless I mixed it up with another one, how we were gonna instead use, they reworded it to the data dashboard thing, okay, and you know, sometimes when you're around too long, you sort of see things go out and then come back in and go out and come back in. I'm just wondering how strong dashboard's gonna be compared to the APIs that,
Same thing, different venue.
oh, okay, I wasn't certain.
The reality is the dashboard takes in a lot of other things.
Yeah.
Like one of the conversations that you had tonight was about Bechtel. Well, one of the things you'll know about Bechtel is their suspension rate is like a third of what it's been in the past. And so their performance has really skyrocketed since the creation of the dashboard, because it takes into account the entire school instead of just an academic indicator. But the dashboard is probably here to stay for a while. If you're like most states, California will eventually turn the dashboard into a grade, because that's usually what they morph into,
Yeah.
is a grade.
Okay. Okay, then those were my biggest concerns. Excuse me.
Any further discussion on the consent agenda? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay. Moving on, I believe we are at the public hearing. So it's a public hearing, notice of a public hearing originally slated for 5:15. Willits Unified School District will hold a public hearing to consider the charter renewal for Levita Charter School. The Board of Trustees encourages public input.
And so Ann Kelly is here. She is the director at Levita.
Hello.
And
I'm happy to meet
you've seen her here
I've met
before.
you once before. Good to see you again.
You have all the
Hi, Jeannie.
documentation in front
Good
of
to
you.
see you, Paula. And I loved your presentation. We're Levita Charter School, and Levita means life. And I'll open our little public hearing with a quote by the infamous author and humorist Mark Twain, who says, "I never let my schooling interfere with my education." And that Levita has a whole life approach in education, and not unlike some of the presentation we saw tonight. There are a lot of similarities there. But so we are going to, so I just learned that today is the first time you're getting a look at our packet. Okay, so I'm going to walk you through just a couple things on that, and then I'm going to let our folks speak. We brought a lot of people here to talk to you. So in your packet, these things, you have the charter, and then you have that big thing, the appendix. So, and that's very unwieldy. It's very heavy in it, you know. So the charter, what we did with the charter is that we put in the back just a couple of tabs of the demographics, because this is the stuff you want to look at, the demographics and the the academic accountability and the finances, so that you don't have to go digging into that big appendix. The key stuff is there. So our charter has not changed that much since the inception. The big change is that we've had 5 attorneys scrub all our stuff, bring in the new policies and all the new laws, make sure that other things that have been taken out. So that was the biggest change, but the core is the same. And then, I think this got moved. So the superintendent and I thought maybe I saw it on yours, Alex, the FICMAC checklist, the oversight checklist. And so this is what Mark wanted to use for the kind of evaluation tool.
Right.
And so we put in, we have the checklist, we answered the questions, and then we put documents in the tabs. And on one of these, it might be in the, we wanted to give you the MOU. So the MOU, the current MOU, is tucked in your big packet.
And kind of our normal processes is because when these charter renewals come, they come with a lot of paperwork.
Yeah.
And I can't meet with them except at board meetings to go over it because that's the Brown Act. And so what we do is we generally give them to them, we let them peruse them, we come to a meeting, you do a presentation, and then at our next board meeting, we take action. And it gives you an opportunity to kind of present your case, and I go through the checklist, and I use the checklist to make a recommendation to the board. So we are at the presentation phase.
We're at the presentation, and that's mostly our people that are going to present. So we also gave you a folder. Yours is green, mine's purple. And in your folder, you have an agenda of our people, who are the kind of speakers and the names of our staff members. You have 3 letters of folks that couldn't be here, 3 letters of support, and then Kevin. I have not seen Kevin yet.
He's right out.
He's outside. So, and he'll be one of our first people. You have a little map of demographics where our people come from. Kevin's going to give you a bigger map and talk about that. So, I want to just pass this on. There you are. Okay, so what I wanted to do, Kevin, can you just hold one second? So we have an agenda. I want to jump down actually a little ways to number 9, and then we'll come back and we'll do the board. But Danielle Canaris is our student services liaison, and she's an awesome team member. And she lives in Santa Rosa, which is underwater right now, and she needs to get home.
Thank you. I kind of want to hear everything, but you know, actually, Derry had to leave, and she wrote something. May I read her piece?
Yeah, okay.
So Derry is a parent of one of our high school students, and
she's number
seven early.
Number
So
7.
her reason for choosing Levita was to give her daughter the opportunity to gain a step ahead of her educational goals. She struggled at Willits Unified in some ways that caused challenges, and she needed more of an environment that allowed her to build on her strength as a student. One of those strengths are working productively in her academic areas with a smaller class environment. Her learning style works better in a one-on-one setting. Levita allows her to learn through her interests and strengths. Also, it has allowed herself as a parent to be active in the learning teaching process. Levita has provided a nurturing and safe environment. So, I have been at Levita. I had the honor of being on staff for the past 13 years, and for 6 of those years I was actually a homeschooling parent. And I don't think that it's any event that anyone would enter into lightly. I certainly didn't, and it was really a life-altering decision, not only for myself, but really my entire family. So I had one son who really fit the traditional model very well and was very successful in school, and my younger son, not so much. So I knew that I didn't want to do it alone. I knew that I wanted oversight and accountability. I was also really attached to having a Waldorf-inspired whole child education that would maintain grade level academic standards so that he could at any time re-enter a 5-day program. And fortunately I found Levita, and so this process really had a huge impact on my son's life. He's a 22-year-old junior college student, and just last year he said to me that he wished he had continued independent study through his high school years, which kind of shocked me. And when I asked him to elaborate, he said that he just felt that he would be so much further along in his on his college path had he continued independent study, and that he is such an independent learner that he would just be so much further along. And I was a bit shocked because I did do a lot for him to get him to a wonderful high school program, but I really understood. The more I thought about it, I understood that is so who he is as an individual and an artist. And it's really wonderful to see that now as a 22-year-old student, he can still reflect back on those 6 years and that they do have a lasting impact. And then, of course, in my time at Levita, I have seen so many students blossom and grow and, just succeed because this program was available, where they weren't doing that prior to coming to us. So I would like to ask you for your vote of support tonight so that other families continue to have this rich learning environment as an option. Thank you.
Thanks, Danielle. So I'd like to introduce our board. We have a 3-person board. So Kevin Britton is there he is. Kevin Britton is our president. Cynthia Reiser-Jevons is our secretary. She made the buttons. And Freya Scott is our board member parent. Freya's going to speak. But Kevin is going to present first. Where do we come from? Where does the Levita students come from?
I wanted to create a map to show the spatial distribution of all our students. So you might want to jump up and gather around and take a look at it. As you can see, we're in multiple districts, 3 different counties. What was it, about 75% of our students travel about 23 miles round trip.
At least.
And then the other 25% are going about 87, 88 miles round trip, just to attend Levita. So, I'll leave this with you.
Want to hold that up briefly for everyone?
For the audience?
Talk about the numbers from each location real quickly. We showed 40 from the Willits area, is that right?
Yeah.
A couple from Cloverdale, some from Redwood Valley.
Santa Rosa,
Ukiah.
Anderson Valley.
Lake County.
I can leave this with Mr. Westerfield, I guess, as long as you do that.
Sure. You should have a copy in your folder. Okay, so Cynthia's going to wait till and see if she has words of wisdom at the end. Freya, do you want to come up and?
Sweet kid.
Hi, my name is Freya Scott, and I'm the newest board member. I joined the board of Levita Charter School about a year ago. I have 2 students who are enrolled in Levita. My daughter has been going for 8 years, so since kindergarten, and I never, ever, ever thought that I would be a homeschool parent in any way, shape, or form. It was not what I had ever planned with my life. I had been slightly homeschooled as a child, and I just assumed that my kids would enjoy a 5-day-a-week experience, but my daughter quickly proved me wrong as a young lady. She is very artistic and a very alternative learner, I would just say. We were introduced to Levita, and it's been an amazing fit for my daughter. She's struggled with reading, and she'd struggled with math, and it's been a challenge the whole time, and Levita has gone above and beyond by just helping her with private tutoring and getting her a curriculum that she is not only interested in but can excel in. As an example, she was as a 3rd grade student, she was at about a 2nd grade math level, and she was able to shoot up 2 grade levels in math through their support. And that was changing on-site curriculum. They created a whole new math program that just inspired all the students to excel, and my daughter did amazing, and it has been a great benefit to her. My son is a very traditional learner. He's an avid reader and just what I would consider a more normal student, and he just loves Levita for the community support, for the friends, for the teacher, the principal, being able to wander into the office and have the support of amazing office staff. I just feel that Levita is a true, it's the gem in the crown of your Willits School District. It is, I've seen so many children come through, and with all different learning styles and models, and Levita every time steps up to the challenge. They create new curriculums or completely redo curriculums to help struggling students. I have never seen a student fail there. No one falls through the cracks. Every student is given a chance to excel, succeed, have confidence, and I feel so blessed and honored to have this in our school district and be able to utilize it as a parent. So just thank you. I thank you so much for supporting charter schools and being willing to kind of take a chance on them, because it's changed my life for the better. So thank you.
Okay, so we will, parents, so Marianne Snyder, we have you up on top. Marianne is, and Drew is here. I wasn't sure if you were gonna.
I brought her. There's some more, but they're walking around the hallway. So my name is Marianne Snyder. I have 3 kids at Levita. I have an 11th grader, I have a 7th grader, and a 3rd grader. Originally, I wasn't a homeschooler. My kids began their career at St. Mary's in Ukiah. We're actually from Ukiah. There's all of them. We're from Ukiah, Two of my 3 kids began at St. Mary's, and once we knew 3 were going to be at St. Mary's, we realized that financially was no longer an option for us. So we started thinking about what we wanted to do. I had really been interested in homeschooling, but a little hesitant with the thought of taking it all on. So what ended up happening was, because I was drawn to it, and I had a lot of friends that homeschool, it's so popular and prevalent in our county, I decided to kind of take it on. And at first, we started the homeschool journey. I knew I needed guidance and support, and so I tried a program called Kava. It's an online virtual academy through California that they provide a curriculum. It's a charter school, but your only real support is online or emails, and the majority of the work is done at a computer. So we quickly decided, halfway through the school year, that although my kids were excelling, it wasn't the learning environment that I was hoping for with homeschool, and so we needed to venture off to something else. I actually used to teach art. I could have easily decided to go off on my own, but a friend had referred me to check out Levita, and at first I was really hesitant because I do live on the south end of Ukiah, and I thought, oh, the drive, and I don't know if I want to take that on. I live in town too. I'm a town person, so distance is like further for us than like country people. So I wasn't sure if I wanted to take it on, but I thought I'll just check it out. So honestly, that feeling quickly faded when my kids started attending up there. It offers something so unique that I wasn't able to find anywhere else. There are, right now, all 3 of my kids are on-site students, and what that means is they attend classes 2 days a week, and then we homeschool 3 days a week. It's this perfect harmony, it's this perfect balance of on-site classes with peers and teachers other than myself in maybe a more traditional learning environment that's Waldorf-based, which is amazing, and then 3 days a week that they're home with me. I wasn't able to find anything like that. I could find independent study programs and I could find homeschool programs, but there was nothing that had this combination that is, it brings me all the way to Willits multiple times a day, 5 days a week. So my kids have flourished there. They love the staff. They love going to school. They have really excelled. I have felt like I've gotten an abundance of support, from speech therapy to tutoring to, phone calls and texts if I need it. And so for me, the distance from Ukiah and Willits, it made me for sure integrate into the Willits community a little bit more and want to be here. So I just wanted to stress, everyone chooses homeschool for a different reason. I know so many families that have done it for religious beliefs or disabilities or just the desire to be with their kids more often, schedules, all kinds of reasons. And it's becoming more and more common. And this kind of program is so vital to our community because there's nothing else like it. And I think there's so many families that without this would venture off on the path by themselves. Some of them very successfully, and some of them not so successfully. And so I think this is really, really important. So that's all I have to say. Drew wrote a little something that she wants to read. Drew's in the 7th grade.
Hi, my name is Drew Snyder. I'm in the 7th grade.
Sorry, I blew that part for you.
Levita is important to me because it provides certain qualities that similar charter schools in Willits and Ukiah do not provide. It gives you the opportunity to go on-site or off-site. On-site allows me to participate in classroom activities. I really enjoy Levita. I'm looking forward to continuing my education there.
move on.
So is Emily okay? There you are.
Thank you. Sure. Squeeze out today.
So Emily, you live in Willits, right?
I do, yeah.
Yeah. And she has 2 children at Levita.
Hi, my name's Emily Oki. I lived in Willits for about 14 or 15 years with my husband, and I have 2 kids, 13 and 5.5. And I'll just say that the last time I stood before the board, I said that I was able to have my second child because of Levita. And that was because things were going so well there, and they were not going well before. And I'll just say that, why should you listen? Everybody's gonna get up and say, why is it a great idea that Levita exists, and why should you be charter? And that's basically the theme. But I can tell you why, if there's no Levita, that I will homeschool and I will not enroll in another school in Willits or Ukiah or any other district. I've had a child in Brookside. I've had 2 children in Brookside, 10 years apart. I've had my nephew in Bechtel when he was in my care. And my perspective also is that I've been a homeschool parent for 7 years with Levita, with a typical learner now, just starting, and a special needs child with very, very high special needs in terms of educational accommodations and customization of curriculum and such. So, and my husband taught a class at Levita. So I feel like we have kind of a big, unique perspective in this community of the schools and of Levita. So, we went to Brookside when my son was young, and there were some good things about it, but we were definitely looking for something different. It wasn't working. We went to Santa Rosa for 6 months, and the way I describe that situation is that the lawn is much bigger and the grass is not greener. So we moved back. And my husband and I looked at each other and said, if we're gonna sue somebody, let's go home and sue somebody. And we were lucky enough to find Levita. So we thought maybe we were just pains in the butt and that it was us not getting along with people, not getting the services we needed for my son, not being heard, not having people call my son's doctor or follow through with things. And I don't have time to stand here, and I drink coffee after 5, and if Ann asks me to show up somewhere, I show up. And I say as long as it takes, no matter what, because she was there for us when nobody else stood by us, and nobody else gave us what we needed. And over the years, what Levita has done for my son is allow him to learn, finally. Allow him to advance 2 grade levels a year in some of the years that he's been there, by allowing us to do what he needs and by giving services that he needs when people fought us tooth and nail before that. And we asked for things, and Ann said, well, I don't know how we're going to do that, but we're going to figure it out, and we're going to work together, and we're going to make it happen. And my biggest problem today, every day, is how busy I am because I have to juggle all these amazing providers. So that's a very high quality problem that I have today that I did not have when my son was trying to get into a school in Santa Rosa for 6 months and never got enrolled, or fighting with a district, or having teachers tell us that we're crazy. And what we've got at Levita is what Freya's talking about. It's supportive, it's nurturing, it's family. And not everybody feels like that, and not everybody stays there. But it's a special place run by special people for people who aren't round pegs or people who aren't square pegs. My husband likes to say my son is a star, so he doesn't fit. And my typical learner, little 5-year-old, also is doing fabulous there, and I couldn't wait to get her in. She went to Brookside because Brookside is not a terrible place. It's a nice, good school. But I could not wait to get her into Levita because it fits her to a T. She's a little extra. So she fits there. She gets the art. She gets the drama. She gets the nurturing. She gets the Waldorf style, which I never thought I'd want to teach my kids. But it works perfectly for her. My son gets special needs curriculum, and I have many choices. And in the years when the special needs curriculum didn't even work for him, they let me write my own curriculum. And they support parents with typical learners and special learners. And if you need services, Ann's got your back. And it doesn't work for everybody, but there is not a school in this county that works for my son. So it's the only place I'll go. I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Has anybody seen Tina? No. She's from Hopland, and there was the river problem, and Tina was going to speak about, she was a Waldorf parent, so about the Waldorf aspect. But Okay, so let's move on to number 10 under staff, and that would be you, Ms. Monica.
I'm Monty Young Bear, and I've been at La Vida for about 4 years. I'm going to stand here so I can pull myself up. It's been a long day, as we all know. I've been teaching in this area for 17 years through Willits Young Actors Program and through Willits Community Theater Summer Arts Program for children, as well as teaching at various preschools and elementary schools doing theater and special music projects and summer programs. So I'm speaking about the arts tonight and our program with the arts, and I just have to say that over the 40 years of sharing theater all over the state, when I walked into La Vida, it was like a kid in a candy store, because I was able to actually implement my form of theater and how I teach theater, which is different from the way many other people teach theater. I believe that theater is a vehicle for children to find themselves. It's a place for kids to come together and look at one another eye to eye and wait and listen. It's a place for them to feel where their spot is in their community and feel safe and know that they're important and that their place is important. And La Vida provides that. So just this year we did a wonderful theatrical project with all the teachers helping, the art teachers, the music teachers, the academic teachers, and we did a program called The Pathfinders. I had local community members. We had Jal Bullshields from the Blackfoot Nation come. We had Diane Smalley come and teach about breath, and taught the Cherokee Dance of Life. We had another person come and teach the Beauty Way dance. And these dances were not only taught to these children, but they were taught that this is a traditional thing that's gifted to them. It's something that's special for them. And that they're carrying this special gift on and giving it to the community for our thankfulness feast that we do every year. So I felt very, very good about the fact that all the students made giveaway gifts for each other, and that was part of the production. They learned these traditional dances from all over our country, and they met some very powerful, important elders in our community. And that is what I believe theater is about. It's about connecting. Because, there are so many great professional actors and actresses. I used to be one. And, there's nothing better than passing on the gifts of what theater gives us to our children, because that's what allows them to become great leaders and great speakers and not fear who they are, but stand up and be proud about who they are. And La Vida does that. As well as teaching theater, I also teach American Sign Language there. I feel like American Sign Language in the public school system is extremely important. American Sign Language teaches us eye-to-eye contact. It teaches us to pay attention. It teaches about full body presence and awareness. It teaches us to respect all levels of a perspective of all children. I can stand in a room, in a classroom, and have very high achievers and very low academic achievers, but when we're all signing and singing and moving together, no one is higher or lower. We're all on the same platform, and that's another beautiful gift that our wonderful La Vida offers our students. These are the kinds of things that we want to give our kids, because our kids are going to be our leaders one day. And right now, our kids need tactile. They need experiences where they can see people and feel proud about looking at an adult or a student. They feel good about themselves. They've been traumatized by fire, by flood, by economic downfall. Many of them are suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder. We are. I am. Okay? And people wonder, well, why can't they remember? Why is our academic testing levels going down? It's because we need to feed that feeling part inside of our students. And La Vida does that. And I feel so blessed to be a part of that. So thank you, Anne, for allowing me to do that. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, we're gonna, do you want to? No, you're here.
I'm just supporting.
You're here to support. Oh, awesome. Okay, so now I'd like our teachers to stand up. So our teachers and staff, so everybody can, and some folks have a little, we asked the high school students to write a statement about why they like Levita, and so some of the teachers will read that. And then, so Fawn, number 11, Fawn Bassett, our kindergarten teacher, and you can go wherever, you can stand where you can read from your place. You
I'm
can
just
do
going
whatever
to
you
the
want.
spot that everyone goes to, is that all right?
Okay.
Hi, yes, I'm Miss Fawn. I do have a last name, but I rarely use it, Fawn Bassett. And I have the great privilege to read a letter that was written by a 10th grade student. And should I say her name or?
Yes, you can say her name.
Okay, this young lady, Cadence Davidson, 10th grade. I like Levita Charter School because I am able to work without getting overwhelmed. It feels like home sometimes, and I can be comfortable. I get emotional reading these. I only have to go 2 days a week, and this helps so I can actually get my work done. It's unlike being at regular public school. And this young lady, she is a wonderful young lady and is easily overwhelmed, and I don't know all the particulars, but I know that the 5-day-a-week option is just not workable for her right now in life, as I understand it. So when I saw this, and I get to teach the high schoolers 1 day a week, which is so fun. I get to work with the little kids and the high school students. And yeah, I just really appreciate the opportunity to work at such a unique, striving, small, but feels really important school, one of a kind. So.
Thank you, Fawn.
Yeah.
So Sarah, if you want, you can just read from there.
Okay. Hello, thanks for having us. I'm Sarah Clark.
She's the first and second grade teacher.
I am the first and second grade
and
teacher.
handwork.
Yes. I'm going to read something from Haley. She's a high school student. She says, I like that it is in the middle of nowhere and on a ranch. I like all the teachers a lot. I like the food. We tend to feed them. And I like the work and the classes. So she is a, can I talk about her or no?
Just a tiny bit. We want to keep moving.
She's great. I drive her to school as well, and she loves the opportunity to be in a small schools too. It makes it a lot easier for her to learn. So she comes from very far from Cobb. So yeah, thanks for having us.
And Isaac Hillhouse, who some of you know, has stepped up into a leadership role at Levita, being the lead teacher in junior high and high school, does science, and the rods and staves, which is the PE, which is a cool, very cool Waldorf thing. Go ahead.
I have a letter written here from Emma, one of our high school students. She writes, I like how we have PE, physical education. PE is really fun, and we don't know what is coming next. I like how we get to learn about Seabiscuit from the ranch and about what he does. I like the Chill and Spill, some curriculum we use for morning opening, the high school level. We get to learn about ourselves in Chill and Spill. And I like how we can be normal a little bit.
Thank you. So Karen Walsh is an educational coordinator, been with us for a long time, and also has a science credential, and one of our online curriculum coordinators, Edgenuity.
Yeah, I've been at Levita for about 8 years, and I've served various positions there, and it is a unique place. It's really remarkable. And this letter is from a student of mine by the name of Aminata, and she came here from Senegal over the summer, spoke no English, read no English, spoke no French, spoke only Wolof, which is a language that none of us were familiar with. And so this was a huge challenge, but she dictated this letter briefly, which says, I prefer working here, but I like all my teachers. And it doesn't sound like much, you know, but if you knew where she was at, 6 months ago, you would be impressed.
Even a month ago, she couldn't have said that, yeah. It's really awesome. Thank you, Karen. And Megan White, she's an art teacher and educational coordinator. Sorry?
Larry's not on the list.
Oh,
Did you
okay,
want to know?
sure, but go ahead.
So this letter is from Kenny. So he says, I think the best part of school is when we bring in all the cool teachers who teach us survival skills and writing. He also says the movement, which he's referring to PE, is also amazing because you have a chance to learn different things. And the school has a really good Waldorf curriculum.
Okay, thanks for pointing out. I'm very sorry, Larry, that you didn't get on the list. So Larry Cole is educational coordinator. Every 2 years we do the Seabiscuit class because that's obviously run the ranch. And we're doing, we do U.S. history through Seabiscuit. And social studies credential.
This is from one of our students named Jason. He's a high school student. And he says that he has, I have bad anxiety and being at this school helps me because of the smaller number of students. The on-site classes provide an opportunity to talk and be around others. The independent study helps me to be more responsible. So he feels like the independent study program helps him to be more accountable.
Thank you, Larry. And Edward Cannon, as you all may also know, he's organizing our special ed program, and we're very pleased to have him help us with that. Also teaches algebra and now is an educational coordinator.
Yes. So this is one of my students, also a high schooler, Vance, and he has some health challenges that Levita's, because he can be home more and take care of those. But he writes, he says, the advantage of being at Levita are that I'm able to get my work done on time. I like that I only need to come here 2 times a week. I also like the school because the students and the teachers are very nice. I also enjoy the many fun activities at Levita. And I just want to say that it's been a pleasure to work with him and all the students that I've been able to work with this year. And I really enjoyed working at Levita and sharing from all the wonderful, passionate people there and having had an opportunity to hopefully impact those students for good. Thank you.
Thank you, Edward. And then I just wanted to introduce a couple other staff members. Andrew Miller is our information technician, and he's a youngin' and he's totally awesome. There was just an article in the paper about his other job, and Ken Ingalls said about him that he has the best pair of ears in Mendocino County. So he helps us with every possible tech item. It's video, sound, fix-its, routers. Today they all, of course the electricity was out again today with our weather, and he was able to fix it all real quick. And then Nicolette Farrow is our new school secretary from Upper State New York. And so now she's a California girl, but she still goes snowboarding every weekend in Tahoe if she can manage it. And it's really a pleasure to have her. She's from the Cornell area, and so has that real high level ivory tower in her background. So it's really great. And Lynn Buskey. Hey, Lynn. Lynn is a retired teacher, but were you in Ukiah or here?
I was in
Ukiah. And she comes in and teaches math for us, and she's really kind of a stellar math teacher for the 5th grade, and kind of helps our whole math program. Did I miss anybody? I'm sorry if I did. So, and then does Blanca want to say anything? Blanca has a new student. She's new from Ukiah, and go ahead. I don't know what you want to say.
No, my English is not good. Okay. Sorry, I speak Spanish. My student is new this year for the School La Vida. My student is special. Years ago, my son, my like reading, my like math. Now it's very, very good progress.
Mm-hmm.
Because now it's more focused. Years ago, it's very difficult for my son. For his ability. Now it's more comfortable
comfortable for me and for my son. I like the school because open that door. It's family. It's more comfortable for me, for my son. Estoy muy agradecido porque mi hijo ahora quiere seguir en la escuela, quiere seguir estudiando.
Permiso, yeah, her son is, she's really appreciative of the school. Her son now is able to continue, he wants to go there. That's the most important to any parent, I would imagine. Ya hizo bien.
No le gustaba las matemáticas, ahora sí, vuelve otra vez, quiere seguir aprendiendo.
Excellent. She says he couldn't do well in math, but now he is doing well and wants to do well, wants to continue. Es un cuentito bien bonito, ya hizo muy bien.
Muchas gracias.
Thank
Does anyone else from Levita would like to speak? Do you want to say anything? No. Okay. Okay. So Cynthia is going to. We rely on Cynthia for wisdom. So.
A few words. I've been on the Levita School Board. I'm Cynthia Reiser-Jevons. I've been on the Levita School Board for probably 11, 12 years now. My daughter attended for 8 years, and now she is doing very well in college. And a great part of her success was the self-confidence that she gained at Levita, because every child matters. No matter what their background, what their difficulties are, they're brought up so that they feel good about themselves. So that leads to lifetime success and a lifetime love of learning. And because Levita is so small, that really makes a huge difference. And a huge part of the success, I must say, is due to our director, Ann Kelly, who believes in the value and importance of everybody who comes through the doors at Levita. And that is the reason for so much great success. So Levita is, as somebody earlier said, a really special gem in Mendocino County, and I hope we can continue to offer that opportunity to the students for whom this education is for. Thank you.
Thank you. So we'd like to, we'd really like it if you could come in for a visit. Many of you probably haven't been down there, and it's a nice drive, and everybody feels good when they drive on that ranch. You just kind of breathe out. So I put up one day here on the February 26th at 1 o'clock, but that was just a day that I said, okay, that'll work. But if there's a better day for you, we can work that out. So yes, I'd like to invite you to come and see the school. That particular day is a Tuesday, which would be the elementary school. And we're basically a 3-room schoolhouse. We're in a 1957 designer home, 4,000 square feet, that's beautifully painted with Waldorf Leisure watercolor walls, and mixed grades, but very small. So it's a house, so that means the classrooms are bedrooms, old bedrooms, and it's just a great place to be. So I will close with the motivational speaker and entrepreneur Jim Rohn's, a formal education will make you a living, but a self-education will make you a fortune. Thank you.
Yes, question.
I do. You know, the thing says, your map talks about the population where they come from.
Yeah.
So what I'm curious about is, it looks as if you have 41 to 75 students. How many students do you have, according to your map number?
The last 2 years, we've been just kind of rolling in about 85 to 90 students. Yeah.
Students?
And so in the course of a year, we have about 110, 120, and then there's this kind of rolling in and coming out kind of thing.
But you have a pretty stable 85 to 100
Yeah,
kids?
it's
a lot of kids.
Although As Superintendent Westerberg mentioned, that it's lower the last couple of years, but that's what we're finding everybody. There's fewer kids, and there just aren't as many kids as there used to be.
Well, sometimes it's
And then we
difficult
sort
to
of,
say.
we're like a mini reflector of whatever's going on out there, that's what's happening in Levita too.
Oh, okay. So have you been with Levita since the very beginning, Anne, or?
Yes.
Yes?
I was on the board of founding director, yeah. And it's been a great pleasure and a great.
So how long ago did it start?
We started in 2001 with Ukiah Unified. And then there's that little patch of land that we're on actually is in the Willits tax district. And so what Ukiah said, you should go to Willits because you're in the Willits tax district. But everything around is Ukiah, so it's different.
Okay. Anything further?
I should say that I worked at Levita for a little while when I retired, so.
Oh,
yeah.
Who did?
I did.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, yes. Uh-huh.
So any other questions, comments by the board?
Okay.
We'll close the public hearing and we'll move on. Thank you.
Thank you. I think we will vacate if there's no other questions.
Oh, anytime, I'm sorry I didn't know.
Everybody need a break? Any questions?
Ready. Hey, Kevin, good job.
Resolution 2018-19-13, the Stable Health Plan JPA, and I'll entertain a motion to approve. Motion by Mr. Chavez, second.
Yes, do.
You're on item D.
How are you?
Second. Any discussion?
Is there still $1 million, so to speak, kind of like a retention fee that, or retainer that is still part of that?
I don't know about
you for a living.
You know, in the past, with Staywell, the district used to have like $1 million, sort of like a retainer fee. I mean, if you left the group, you also left your
The bylaws state that, I think if you leave and after you leave, if there are still any lag claims that happen, you're still responsible. And I'm not sure there may be a threshold that you have to be holding.
There used to be that we would be, a while back,
I would
years
have
ago.
to refer to the bylaws, I don't know.
You're talking about some sort of a self-insurance component?
Well, so the JPA is self-funded, but there is language in the bylaws that dictate what should happen if a particular district leaves that JPA and what liability is to carry. Because the way the timelines run is that you could leave and it could take 6-8 months before claims are resolved from the prior year. And so there can still be some liability. So I do believe that the bylaws have some language about that. I just don't know off the top of my head, but I can get that information.
I'd like to see it.
Yeah. If it works for you guys, I can just send out the bylaws directly to you. Or I can.
You can always read a little thing and send me a paragraph. No,
will do.
It's just they used to, the district before had talked about the possibility of using another company. But the penalties were greater than the pluses, and I just wondered if the rules were still the same.
Yeah, I'll take a look at that for you guys.
Okay, thank you, Nikki. Thank you.
Well, yeah, I know that for example, Staywell requires 100% participation.
Yeah.
As opposed to some of the other programs that might be available.
Right.
It's been motioned and seconded. Is there any further discussion? Call for the vote. All in favor? Aye.
Can
Any
I
nays?
also, I'm sorry. I just wanted to find out who the first was. I did not hear that.
I'm sorry?
Who made the motion?
Robert. And
Oh.
Paul seconded.
Okay, thank you.
Was there another comment out there?
You had one question about the Staywell group, about other groups using you. You have to be accepted by the other group. So that's part of the big issue too.
I'm sure there's an actuarial happens and all
Yeah,
that.
they look at your claims and see your trending patterns and all of those things, and they'll like whether, hey, yeah, you're a great group, come here, we can make money off you, or we don't want to touch you.
Well, and one of the challenges that we do face is if a district were to look at that individually is that, Dan is right, we have, our consultant has looked for the JPA as a whole in the past. And there have been times where it hasn't been very favorable, our claims usage. But we do not, so the data is aggregated for the whole JPA. So there's no way for us to report to another company in order for them to give us a specific quote based on our group's usage, because it sits within the whole JPA. They don't separate our district out.
Well, yeah, generally speaking, most of these programs, you're better off in a JPA format anyway.
It
Larger
spreads the
groups,
risk.
better buying power, basically.
Yeah.
That's the way to look at that, but
Yeah.
there may be something better out there. It just requires us to do some looking. Sounds like
They're looking.
they're looking, yeah. This health insurance issue, it's a nationwide problem, and it's not going away. Sooner or later, somebody's gonna have to address it at a much higher level than we are.
One issue they're actively looking into is getting our own, like an acorn clinic. It's typically just like the Bechtel Clinic or something, but it's a clinic that services just the JPA people. So the location of it, and then all of our JPA people could go there at no charge. And the fund pays for that, so that could be a huge cost saver too. They're looking at a lot of stuff.
Yeah, it makes sense.
Isn't that sort of what's being done by that computer thing where you bring up on the computer the
teledoc.
Oh, it's yeah.
Yeah, so teledoc is something that's available to all of our members and their dependents. It isn't free, it costs $40, but the JPA is picking up the cost of that and not charging that out to our members.
Yeah.
It's nice because then employees can start with that if they're not really sure, like, should I go to urgent care? I'm not really sure, you know, if they're on the line. They might as well start with that because it's free to them, and in many cases it resolves.
Well, we've used it, and they'll send a prescription to the pharmacy and everything, and it saves you $150 going to the doctor.
And so we are working on doing a memo out to all of our employees. You know, we send a lot of info out to employees, but I know things can go through the cracks, or people, if they're not needing it at that moment, they're not paying attention. But we are sending a memo out that talks about in more detail some of these programs and some other ways that employees can think about how to help manage the cost of our.
Oh, okay. Okay, because I didn't get that information from Willits Unified, but I got it from people on the Stay Well plan that are a part of us, part of this district.
Tessa
It's
and
kind of
Jim
a
and
good
I
deal.
kind of got together after the last meeting. We're the three that go to the Stay Well meetings.
Oh, okay.
And so we're putting together a memo and a package of supporting documentation. For
For instance, I knew nothing about the teledoc until you just mentioned it. I
Yeah.
knew those programs were out there, but I had no idea.
Yeah, we have teledoc, and we also have a 24/7 nurse hotline, which can help folks triage, you know, it's like, oh, my kid's got this temperature, do I need to take them in? Not really sure. That's also free to folks to call by phone.
Cool, great.
And a big thing is getting people to creatures of habit, and to try to change some of those habits in slow ways, you know, use the teledoc instead of going down to the hospital or going somewhere, because those things alone will save a lot of money.
One thing that I do, you know, Tessa did mention, we looked at a lot of our claims data, and I do agree with the assessment that if our current trends continue for this year, I think it's likely that we will have to look at some type of increase. It's too soon to know what that amount may be, but we are seeing very high claims data. But one positive thing that I want to report is, you know, we talk a lot in our group about access. It's really difficult in our community sometimes for folks to get to the level of access that they really need without overshooting it. Sometimes people are going to the ER for things that they'd rather do urgent care, but we don't have a good urgent care option. But we were looking at some of the data, and our visits to the ER as a group seem to be, the vast majority are true emergent cases, and so we're seeing that people are trying to make conscientious choices about the type of care to seek.
Good. We're to item E, approval of catastrophic leave donation program conversion formula. What are we talking about?
Employees donating sick days to other employees.
Okay. I know we have a catastrophic leave program. I've read it extensively a number of years ago. I haven't looked at it in depth in some time.
I could be wrong, but I think maybe the question was that we needed to define, some of the employee groups were already included
Right.
and some weren't yet, so we needed
Right.
to define the conversion rates for all of the employee
Right.
groups.
Yeah, and if you look at it, that's what it's talking about, it's conversion rates and it's.
Do they donate hours, or do they donate money?
Hours.
So obviously, if somebody has a higher hourly rate, we need to convert that somehow.
Right, and we don't do it like by specific person, but we do it by employee group, so certificated, classified, admin. We keep it somewhat general, but we do acknowledge that they might have different, levels, so we want to factor that into some degree.
So, so what are we doing with this as an action item?
I
Well,
believe just approving the conversion rate.
We're approving that the groups can be in it, all of the groups, it's the classifications that are in it, administrators and things, everybody can be involved.
I mean, I haven't seen a formula, is really
There's
what
a
I'm trying to
second page, I
say.
think, in there.
I don't recall seeing it.
The only thing they used to have was a 3-to-1. A teacher donated a day, it was
Right.
worth 3 to the
So if you
classified
go to the second
employee.
page of that,
It looks like
Okay.
this. I think it was right behind, yeah.
Oh, there it is. So, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll second it.
How about you take the first, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Okay, Jeannie made the motion, Mr. Kovic seconded. So my question here is, why don't we convert dollars for dollars? In other words, as an example, if you donated 8 hours at your current pay rate, as opposed to 8 hours at beginning teacher's pay rate, obviously there's a significant difference, and I get that. Why don't we just take the 8 hours, multiply by his hourly rate, and put that in the fund? Now there's a dollar amount in the fund, and then when somebody else needs that catastrophic leave, they actually use those dollars for dollars.
Right, we don't track anyone's sick leave directly by dollars, and that is because a single employee could have separate rates throughout their career as they move up step in column. And so when we hold their hourly or their sick leave, it's just in a bank of hours or days. And I think this is more in line with that style of accounting. The only time that we account for the dollars on leaves are usually like if we pay out an employee who is a 12-month employee that has a vacation balance and they are leaving employment, we would pay out their balance. But we don't typically account for that
Well, I'm talking
in
about actually
dollars.
having an accurate representation of what's been donated to the catastrophic leave bank. And then when somebody needs that catastrophic leave bank, they actually, if they need 80 hours of that, it's 80 hours times whatever their rate is, and that's what comes out of the catastrophic leave bank.
I mean, it's not that we couldn't do that, it would be more accounting work for us to maintain
it's really
that data.
about granting somebody the number of hours they need, as opposed to a dollar figure. I mean, no district assumes that everybody's gonna use all their sick days every year.
Yeah.
Correct.
We don't budget that everybody's using their sick days every year. We budget
We're really budgeting some
less than a
costs.
third or 20%.
But isn't
are
the
gonna be
catastrophic
used.
leave bank there for that individual who does have a catastrophic situation where they end up utilizing all of their available leave?
Right.
And what happens is they use X number of hours, and those hours are paid at whatever their rate is.
So, another thought that I would have about that is that although we have the general pool, in many cases what I see happening is when a particular employee has a situation and other staff become aware of it and want to help that person directly, and then we can kind of get into some awkward conversations about people's particular hourly rates, whereas this allows a person to say, I want to donate a day to that person directly without us having to quantify people's hourly rates to each other. So if it's something that you guys wanted us to pursue, it's not that we couldn't accomplish it. I would say my preference would be to do the accounting based on hours. And typically what's happening when it is getting used is not necessarily additional pay to anyone, it's just that much less that they're gonna get docked out of their pay
It's
for
usually
running over.
reducing
their
a
back.
dock.
Right.
And honestly, I don't understand why it's not 1-to-1. If I put a day in, they get a day. I don't understand why it would be 3-to-1, because we're not paying for my sick day anyway. You know, so I don't really understand why. I understand because California uses as part of its retirement system. And that's why it gets a little
Just in every one of these
convoluted.
catastrophic leave programs I've seen, they actually track the actual value of the time that's being donated. And then when the employee utilizes that time, for example, you know, if I make $40 an hour and I donate 8 hours to the catastrophic leave bank, it gets converted into a dollar amount. And then when somebody else who makes $20 an hour utilizes that catastrophic leave bank, it's basically a 2-to-1. We get that, but they actually have access to the actual funds that are in the catastrophic leave bank, not quote the number of days, because the number of days really doesn't mean anything because we didn't add a dollar figure to it.
Well, for our purposes, when it gets used, it's not going to be a dollar payout over and above what we're already paying. So I think in other cases, the way other agencies may do payroll, perhaps it creates a new expense, but for us, it doesn't create a new expense. We've already budgeted that person for their entire year, and it may just prevent them from losing some of what we've already planned to pay them for that year. And so right now, there's actually not a need for us to account for a dollar value of any of our sick leave. And so that would be a new practice altogether. If you would like, I can find out if other districts are using a different method than we are. I've never seen a district use that method.
Interesting.
It seems like you would go find somebody who makes the most money to try and get a day from them. I mean, that doesn't seem logical to me.
Well,
it seems like a new teacher who gives a day should be as valuable as a veteran teacher who gives a day. A day's a day, but I don't know.
See, that's sort of how it is in the WTA contract. The days are days. So if you're a 40 or a, what is it, $100 a day teacher or a $300 a day teacher, you get a day. Otherwise, what you can run into is that a $300 a day teacher is going to be docked $200 for being out one day because the donator only had $100 worth of a day to give, okay? So it kind of makes it really tricky. Also, this started as a CSEA, I mean, not the catastrophic leave for WTA, it's a little different. But this one is a CSEA leave, isn't it? Isn't it as a part of your?
Well, the CSEA has their own bank, and I think
Right.
the teachers have their own bank, and I don't know if the admin has their own bank.
Well, I never knew.
So, in order to
maybe
do
that's the
that-
reason why the system I'm familiar with
I
is
think
different.
that's why it's
That could
3-to-1, but in order to access the bank, you have to put into the bank.
Yes.
If you don't put into the bank within that calendar year, you can't access the bank. And what's typically happened lately is some folks have had some issues and people have donated their own personal time off of their paycheck directly to that person, not to the bank.
Yeah.
So that's, that conversion rate from a teacher helping their aide, so to speak, I think that's what that 3-to-1 or whatever that ratio is. So we can't access your bank, you can't access our bank. But this is, I think, a way to cross over to donate time to people.
All right.
WTA could donate to CSEA, and it was a 3-to-1 conversion. CSEA, if they donated back to a WTA member, they gave up
So
3 days
1/3.
for one.
It's a 1/3.
Exactly. But it was never included, it never included administration or any non-association employees, either CSEA or WTA. And so that's sort of what I thought most of this was going to be about, besides giving a new ratio of maybe 2-to-1 or 3.5 or whatever it turned into. And the only reason I know why they did days as opposed to money is because the money so changes. If I donate 3 days when I'm making $200 a day, later when it could have been worth $300, you know, or there was that fluctuation of what is a day worth, and that caused a new issue of.
It just seems
Yeah,
it's fraught with inaccuracy the way this is, but if this is what you guys want,
And I do think, Paula, you make a really good point about that, is if a single employee puts in 1 year and they're at the lower rate, and then they want to access that at a later point, it's somewhat inequitable to that individual person because they donated that, and if it was still on their books, they could use it regardless of their placement on the salary schedule. But once it would go into the pool, if you're converting it to dollars, if 5 years later they want to access it, they're getting it back at a lower rate of return than what they put in.
yeah, but in theory, you're not really accessing the dollars that you put in 5 years
No,
ago.
it stands.
You're accessing whatever
That
somebody else has
year's
put in
budget.
since then.
Right, well, yes, yeah.
I still don't understand why I can't just, if I give Dan a day, it's a day. I don't grasp that concept very well.
Well, I guess because, and the reason why I think of it this the other way is because your pay rate is at a higher rate than Dan's, it's just that simple.
But we're not paying me for the sick day when I'm gone anyway.
No, all you're paying is the sub. And so
I
the
don't get a
sub is
sub.
125 regardless.
I don't get a
100
sub, so
whatever.
you're not paying
Well, and
anything.
that's just.
So I give Dan 0 when I'm gone.
Yeah. Well, you give up your sick days.
You gotta look at it in the context of the catastrophic leave issue,
Yeah.
not whether or not you're out for a day sick.
Right.
Okay, so, okay,
It's kind of a convoluted issue, and retirement convolutes it because when you give up sick days,
You give up retirement.
you're giving up retirement issues. So.
I think it started out as a goodwill gesture to help people, and then when people started getting into the specifics and trying to grind it down, it kind of gets away from the goodwill part.
yeah.
Well,
This was always something that is valuable in early on in people's careers when they haven't had an opportunity to build up a lot of sick leave, particularly if they've got young children with health issues, they've had to burn sick leave for that sort of thing, and then the family suffers something catastrophic, then these kinds of programs are really valuable. It's not so valuable to the individual who's been here 15 years and has, hundreds of hours of sick leave built up to where even something catastrophic is not likely to hurt them too much, so.
And those folks that have been here, generally, from what I've seen, have been the ones that have been kicking down some days to the folks that haven't been around a long time. And losing their time, so.
Yeah, the ones that you're frustrated about are the ones that waste their sick leave for a variety of reasons.
And then something happens.
And then something happens. So.
Right.
And we all
There
know.
is some criteria to access the bank of sick leave, though, that you have to meet. You just can't get it. You have to meet some certain criteria of it.
And we also, I think, when we do a direct transfer, like you were talking about, like a certificated to a classified, I think both the union presidents have to also approve it, is that?
Yeah, I have to sign off on all that
So
stuff.
there is some
So-
review of it, it's not without consideration.
And if you put into the bank and you've exhausted all other measures and you want to try to withdraw from the bank, and you do have a sort of a tribunal thing, a group of people that will sit there going, yeah, like you've done this 20 times, sorry. Or, yeah, you know what, it's first time, yeah, there's only so much you can get though. You can't exhaust the whole thing.
Well, and there becomes an issue, at least with WTA, there was a big one about what happens when the bank is empty. People had to contribute in order to be a part of it, but if I contributed, and let's say I put in 5 days and I never needed it, and then all of a sudden I did, there's only 3 days in there. What happens to me? Well, I'm docked 2 days. That's just, there are a lot of, which is what I was wondering, how that's going to be worked into whatever language, because non-association members would be receiving benefits from the association, and it opens a whole door.
I think that's why this conversion applies to the cases Dan was talking about where they individually, like I know this person needs assistance and I'm choosing to help them rather than into a pool. So I don't think that
The
non-association.
conversion goes like that?
Well, the WTA doesn't put into our bank.
Not
They
at
don't
all.
put anything into it. They put into individual people that they know.
No, WTA has a catastrophic
That's the
bank.
WTA's bank.
Right.
That's
and-
not our bank.
Right, and that's why I'm
So that's
asking.
when the folks at WTA hand down some time, it goes directly to the person, not our bank.
No, nothing WTA would do would go to your
Right.
bank. But that's the issue then, that your bank stay full enough to service everyone. And does it serve, this is what I'm asking. And does it service those who are not union members?
No, you
Does
have
not
to put
serve
into the
non-union.
bank in order to withdraw from the bank.
Oh, okay, so then how does that help?
The pool is totally restricted to the people in that union and the people who've donated before. And I would have to look at the language to confirm, but I think that there's no way to guarantee. I mean, it's kind of a risk.
And that's what I would
You're
think.
It's just like an
deciding-
insurance policy, just
Right,
like we're
but
dealing with
this-
Staywell right now. Sometimes it doesn't work out that way. You might put it in and suddenly there's a whole bunch of issues that take it out. Well, we're sorry.
But
that's
this
what
is
happened.
asking about confidential, classified, and classified management. They are not members.
So what I'm saying is these situations with the
Uh-huh.
non-unit members would be direct transfers. Like, I wanna help that
Okay.
one
I thought it was in
employee
the bank.
directly, but
Okay.
not,
Nothing
it
goes
would
to the bank.
bypass the bank in those types of situations.
Oh, okay.
Jenny has to be gone and Laura Sleeper wants to donate a day. She would then give it right to Jenny.
Yeah.
And that's the
Okay.
conversion that would be used.
Oh, and that's the conversion you're concerned with? Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah,
I thought it was
so
into
it's-
there.
Yeah, it's all
I
from
still
one
think it's
person
one-to-one,
to
by the
another.
way, but I'll go with it.
So
I
wouldn't,
think the catastrophic in that title is what's throwing.
Well, there's a bank and then there's the sharing of what you have. They're two different things.
okay, well,
It's goodwill towards Van is the first one, and the bank is people putting stuff in there, like, I put it in there because I'm getting older and one day I might need it, who knows? You know, but if not, well, it's just like getting Reach or CalStar. I pay for both of them every year. I don't care if I use it or not, but it's darn good insurance to have if you need it.
yeah, if you like to fly. Okay, there's been a motion on the table and seconded. All those in favor? Aye. Any nays? And it passes. Item number F, approval of low-performing student block grant.
This is one of those wonderful funding things from the state of California who just stays awake at night thinking of crazy ways to allocate money so you can earmark it and have to pin the tail on the donkey. So,
somebody's giving us money.
Can I quote you
Yeah.
on that?
yeah, you absolutely can. Because this is funding for students who are in the non-duplicated category who are not passing the CAS test, basically. And so, again, it's fairly obvious to see who it's targeted at. And so, this is a group of students that are low performing but don't meet the criteria to be in the unduplicated. So if you do Willits math, that would be 24% of our students who could potentially be in that category, minus the students who are performing well. So, it is a limited number of students, and of those students, one of the things that I've done is looked at services we can provide to them. At the high school, we have things like guided academics already. We do grade checks. We do interventions with parents. And so what I'm doing is using this funding. One of our staffing anomalies is we have a pretty good ratio of counselors to students at the high school. Okay? And so I'm going to use this funding over the next 2 years, because this, again, isn't indefinite. It's targeted at a group of students over a 2-year period. So I'm going to use this funding to have one of our counselors target. There are 41 students on the list. I've already gone through and gotten a list of students who are unduplicated but didn't pass the CAS test, who are potential. And I took the students in grades 8 through 11, because it doesn't start till next year. So it's incoming 9th grade up to seniors next year. And so one of our jobs will be something we do already, but this will be a little more targeted in the fact that we're going to be checking them off on a regular basis. Are we connecting with these 40 students? Are they on a path to graduate? What are the interventions we've done with them, and how is it performing? And so it just gives me another level of saying, let's focus on all of our students, because generally what happens is we spend the bulk of our time focusing on the lowest achieving students who happen to fall in the unduplicated category. And so this will allow me to target one of our guidance counselors to be very focused on the other set of kids who we also need to focus on. And so it is a way for us to get this funding from the state and maintain some of the things we've already been doing. And some of those students will actually be at Sanhedrin. And so it'll also allow me to have a counselor coming across the street a little bit to Sanhedrin, because that's one of my missing things I have here.
Gotcha, okay.
So
I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I second it.
Well, you have to first.
Oh, I first it?
Okay. Jeannie's made the
I'll
motion.
second it.
Mr. Colvick seconds. Any further discussion? What's the value of the grant?
it's 120, but it's over 2 years. You could take it in 1 year, but we're going to use it over 2. And the reason I'm going to use it over 2 is it allows us to maintain that ratio that's really nice at the high school with guidance, and it allows us to target their focus on what we need to do.
Okay.
And so,
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any further discussion? I'm sorry, Paul.
Just only, so then at about 60 grand a year, you're talking about adding a counselor or
No.
giving the ones
No
that are
adding.
there
Retaining.
a little
no adding,
additional?
retaining.
Okay. Oh, okay, just retain.
There's no
maintaining what
additional
you've got.
staff.
Okay.
It allows us to use that state funding in a targeted way to help us with using one of our counselors to perform a function we already want to have done anyway.
In order to alleviate the general fund a bit.
Exactly.
Okay, that's,
Yeah,
that's
because that's, anything that we can use to do that obviously helps our deficit, puts more money on the table for other things.
Okay,
So,
Okay.
thanks.
Moving right along, we have items G, H, and I. They are first reads of new policies, and we'll acknowledge that we have those and some homework for the next month before we see those again.
Can I ask a
And
question?
any
about
items
those?
anybody's concerned about for the next board meeting?
Yeah, first though, before we do that, can I ask you, it says here that under the tech grant, or the career technical education, it says it includes streamlining the uses of grant funds, adding a requirement for needs assessment and all of that, for special needs populations, and the regulation deletes the section on tech prep. Okay, so in this revised policy, okay, I'm sorry, I thought it was the first read and it's the second. I should have asked it before. I guess it doesn't matter.
We're all done with that, but
Sorry,
yeah.
we finished that.
Doesn't mean we can't revisit it again.
let me
Paul.
just be really quick, I can answer it very quickly.
Oh, okay.
The whole CTE funding thing has gone through a dramatic change.
Yeah, there's
And now
actually money there.
Yeah, they put some money there, but they had to rename it and do a bunch of things, and so this change is really in relationship to that. This comes from school and college.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, I missed it.
It's nothing that was generated by the district.
Yeah.
It came from school and college.
Oh, okay. I just thought it would infringe on your newest block grant, and I thought,
No,
they
no.
duplicated, and I wasn't certain. Okay, thanks.
And
things-
public comments on items not on the agenda? And
You know what I want on the next agenda, if we could, is a little discussion of some of the facilities. Understanding, I don't know how this gets worded, but I understand that the facilities, the maintenance department gets lists saying, this needs fixing, and stuff like that, right? And then supposed to be kind of like the checks and balance of that is that it goes on a computer, and then the computer gets marked off, this is done, this is done.
Right.
What I'm not seeing is any of who decides it got done. I mean, in the sense that when I looked with Mark, there were some things that did not say they were done, but they were theoretically done. And then some things that I looked at that said, yeah, this is done, they weren't done, the problem was still there. And so what I'd like to do is kind of discuss some of that, either,
Okay.
I don't know where, but I need to know stuff that I don't know.
Okay.
That be a meeting with you, Mark, or?
Yeah, I'm a little confused of a board level discussion about that, other than prioritizing what we do. And today was a perfect example. I got a call at 6:45
Yeah,
from
no
Terry, he's at
electric-
Sherwood,
yeah,
the
he's
power's
out.
out.
Ken,
And
Close
so
that
everything that
school
was gonna
today.
get done this morning did not get done.
Yeah.
before we look to put it on the agenda, can you and I go meet with Mark? And
Oh,
we
I
can
would
have-
like that, because
we can have a discussion
you I
about
kind of
that?
depend on to make it more clear to me, which is why I thought it was a sort of a board plan. But good, no, I
I think I
do
can shed
that.
some light on that.
Oh, okay, that suits me really well.
Motion to adjourn.
Move that we adjourn.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you, everyone. Dr. Rich.